What is going on, everybody? It's Juggalo Gaming. I'm Jonathan80315, and welcome back to a new series. This is the Gemcraft Frostborn Raft Need to Know series. This series is going to be 3 different videos. The first one here is basic. First off, I'm going to go through an overview of what I'm going to be talking about, and then we'll get into everything that I'm going to be doing in this series. Sorry about that, but alright. So, the Need to Know series is going to cover pretty much everything that you could possibly need to know under Gemcraft Frostborn Raft. This includes hotkeys, basic and advanced hotkeys as well. Spells, gem types, talismans, skill points, mana farms, banishments, achievements, kill gems, utility gems, enraging, special enemies, possible possessed enemies, skills / skill tomes, wizard stashes, journey mode, endurance, and trial modes, battle traits, the orb, mana, instant resocketing, building types, amazing, gem bombing, gem wasp, tombs, monster nests, drop holders, destroyable buildings, XP, replaying the maps, beacons, in-game mods, UI, and monster waves. Pretty much everything we're going to go over within these 3 videos. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. So we're going to start off here talking about the UI of the game itself. Once you click into a map, when you first start though, you'll be presented with W1 here. It'll have you do a couple things to kind of get used to it, but, you know, that's all tutorial stuff. We're going to go over everything in great detail. So starting the very top right, you have a cog. This brings up your options menu, where you can do multiple different things here. I suggest looking them over, because there is things right here where towers would shoot at barricades automatically and stuff like that you can change. Alright. You also have your battle stats for the current battle you're in, and you have an achievement list in-game that you can pull up. Next, you have the pause, the play, and the 3x speed. We'll go over the hotkeys for them here in a little bit. You also have your mana pool, which will tell you the mana level, the mana pool level, and a bunch of stuff that, like your replenishment rate, the talisman XP gain multiplier, orblets mana gain multiplier, and stuff like that, depending on your skills and how high level you are, and battle traits and everything that affects that, plus talismans. That's all right there. Then you have your first set of spells at the top here, which are their strike spells. These consist of freeze, whiteout, and ice shards. We will talk more about them in general. Just know that the hotkeys are labeled for these as well. It's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 are your enhancement spells: bolt, beam, and barrage. Next, you have a key here to throw gem bombs. It does show the hotkey beside it as well, which is B. You have your grade of what gem you're creating. So if I put this up to 7 and create a mana gem, it's going to create a grade 7. You can use the mouse wheel to quickly go up and down, as long as you're on this info panel. If I use my mouse wheel off of it, that's not going to change it. You have to do it on it. Alright, next you have your combined gems key. This is the button you would hit to combine gems, or you can just use G, which is the hotkey for it. It also tells you the hotkeys for duplicating a gem and upgrading a gem, in case you forget. You have your 6. You have your 9 spots available to combine gems in the inventory and store gems. Next, we'll be going over the gems themselves, starting with numpad number 1, which is why it says N1. The hotkeys for these are the numpad buttons, so numpad 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they consist of armor tearing, poison, slowing, crit, mana, and bleed. Below them, you have your buildings, you have walls, towers, amplifiers, traps, lanterns, and pylons. Below that, you have what build you're in, how much raw XP you have, and your previous well, yeah, also has your battle trait multiplier and it has your previous highest. Below that will be your kill chain counter. These are basically kills in a row, and there's a cooldown. If there's a break, it resets that kill chain, which increases your multiplier as well, and how much XP you're getting per monster. And below that is how many monsters will be on the map and how many are waiting to enter. It'll also tell you if you have any special enemies like spires, apparitions, or anything like that waiting to enter. Alright, that covers everything on the far right here. Next, if we head over to the left, you have a wizard tower from the old games. This does absolutely nothing. Left of that, you have your orb. You have some pre-built towers on this map. Most maps will have some kind of pre-built, like maybe pre-built walls, towers, amplifiers, traps, lanterns, or pylons. Any of them can be pre-built on the map. Take advantage of them if you want to. And then you have your wave stones on the far left here. Also, brand new to Frostborn Wrath, you have an enraging slot. No longer do you have to create a gem and bomb the wave stones. In fact, if you try it, it's not going to work. To enrage, you just put a gem in the enraging slot. Plain and simple. And if you look there, it'll tell you exactly what it does. Grade 1 will give me 5% number of monsters. So 5% more monsters. They have more hit points, they have more armor, and there's some bonus XP when you kill them. That being said, I will go over something about enraging here in a little bit. Because when you get into where you're trying to farm a lot more mana and you have mana traps and you're like, oh, I'll enrage it that way, monsters have higher armor and hit points so they can be on the mana trap longer and make me more mana. Well, it's kind of wrong, because in traps, if you look over traps here, it ignores armor to begin with. So the only thing you're looking at is hit points. The increase in hit points does make them last a little bit longer, but the main thing that enraging is going to do for increasing mana is the number of monsters that are increased. Alright, now let's talk about the game in general. When you are playing this game, monsters are going to come out wave by wave, and they're going to try to make it to your orb. If they make it to your orb, they get banished. Banishment costs mana. Eventually, when you hit 0 and they banish, when you have like no mana left to cover the banishment cost of a monster, it's game over. So mana is everything in this. Mana is also your spending money. As you can see there, I made a grade 15. You see how much mana that took. Quite a lot. Alright, now let's go over some hotkeys. I've already went over 1, 2, and 3 for your strike spells, 4, 5, and 6 for your enhancements, B for gem bombing, G, D, and U for combining, duplicating, and upgrading, numpads 1 through 6 for creating gems, W for wall, T for towers, A for amps, R for traps, L for lanterns, and P for pylons. You can also hit space to immediately pause and space to unpause and go back to whatever speed you were at. There's also a hotkey that I'm going to mention later that just switches the speeds. Next, you can hit N to send the next wave, and there's also some alternative ways to send waves early. One, you can just click on a wave stone. Now it puts a black line here. All these waves are being sent up to this point. And that covers sending waves early. Trying to think of other hotkeys that are pretty important. A lot A lot more hotkeys are going to be told in the advanced section, but one of the more important things is to be able to right click on the gem and you can change its target priority. Nearest the orb, least hit points, shielded, special enemies carrying orblets or highest banishment cost, structure. You know, most gems have the same settings. However, traps do have a little bit different, along with lanterns. They also have the same as traps. So if you have one in a trap, instead of structures, they have at least affected gem by gem specials. Same with lanterns. Least affected by gem specials. This will be very important later on, and I will explain that once we go over mana farming in the advanced section. Actually, I might be covering in intermediate. We'll see how timing is looking. Alright, so I covered the UI, the buildings, the gem types, the spells. The only thing I didn't cover is the instant resockets. So when you have gems on the battlefield, you'll see that there's a cooldown until they socket. If you want them instantly to be ready to go, you can use any of your enhancement spells and fully get them resocketed instantly. This will come in handy if any monsters, any possessed monsters have the resocket ability, where if they die, it causes everything to resocket, and also beacons that cause it to resocket. You might want to hurry up and resocket the gem so you can keep firing at whatever you need to fire at. Keep that in mind. Okay. So after you complete the battle, you gain XP, obviously. Right now, my raw battle XP is 110,000. That's how much I've already made throughout this battle. And that's mainly because of battle traits. Don't worry about that. Not battle traits. That's mainly about talismans. Why I'm starting with that much. I think it's talismans, right? Basically, yeah, talisman that has my initial XP and mana. A percentage of my wizard level goes to my initial XP and mana. So that's why I start with XP. Already. Wow. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and back out of this. This is everything on the main screen. That you gotta remember, this is basic information. We'll go into more advanced stuff later down the line. So after you beat a map, especially if it's your first time playing it, you'll beat for W1. You'll come out here. The first light here will light up. It will also unlock W2. You can go back in and do W1 again in endurance or trial or redo journey mode, or you can go into W2. The first time you enter a map, it will just go ahead and go into the map. You will not see this screen. If you re-click a map that you've already played, it will bring up the screen. And this, you can choose endurance or trial or journey mode. And then you have battle traits, which we will talk about later. But that is basically replaying maps. And I will mention, if you are going into a map just to get the wizard stash, say this one's wizard stash here is on endurance, it's right there. Say I didn't have that. If I wanted to go in just to get this wizard stash, it is better not to mess with any battle traits that you may have and focus on getting that wizard stash. And then coming in again for the XP, for bonus XP from upping battle traits. Don't try to do everything at once. If you're after a certain stash, go for the stash. That being said, it is very important to open up every wizard stash. Wizard stashes will have everything from your skill tomes, your battle traits, shadow cores, talisman fragments, marked and unmarked, field tokens, and map tiles as well. Example, Y4, if you beat it normally, you get X1 and the X map tile. but if you get the wizard stash in Y4, it unlocks the Z map tile and Z1. Let's see here, what else do I need to talk about? Definitely go after the wizard stashes, and if you want to know what's in every wizard stash, I do have a guide on Steam, which could help you out when you're going for talismans, to know exactly what talisman mark that you're going to get from a certain stash. Alright, looking at the main menu here, you have the same options menu up here. You have your skills, your talismans, achievements, journey nodes, stats, and tutorial. And again, that you also have a shadow core counter down the bottom right, and you have your XP bar and your wizard level. Alright. I think that about covers it for basic information. Let me look through my notes here and see if I missed anything. No, I think that about covers it. So to go into a little bit more detail about battle traits, of course you unlock them just like your skill tomes, and you do it from wizard stashes. So please, you need to go after them. It's kind of a must though. Every map currently in the game, every map has a wizard stash and gives you something. So it's much different from when the game first came out. When the game first came out, you had wizard stashes in some maps, but not all maps, and also wizard stashes could be in trial when it first came out. That has changed since the game came out, because trial modes are already hard enough when you're trying to focus on beating it by using only a certain amount of skills, or it has battle traits active and stuff like that, so they changed that up. Alright. We'll go ahead and go into the advanced hotkey section of this. I wanted to save this for the intermediate video, but since we're already here, and we've already talked about a lot of the advanced, or a lot of the hotkeys, we might as well finish this up. So again, refresher. T is for tower, R for trap, A for amplifier, L for lantern, P for pylon, W for walls. You can drag them to create your walls, by the way. Once you hit W, you can just drag a line. G combines gems, D duplicates, U upgrades gems, and X destroys gem for mana. Basically, selling a gem, you hit X. Also, when duplicating a gem, you can drag combine a gem into an empty inventory slot to duplicate it. Or for upgrading a gem, you can actually use the mouse wheel on a gem in the inventory to increase its level. Keep that in mind. Q will actually switch the time, the speed of time. Like I said, space pauses it and then goes, and when you unpause it, it goes back to the time that you had it set to. So if you had it on normal speed or 3 times, depending on what you had it on, that's what it will go to. I already mentioned N starts the next wave. You can hit the dot button on the keyboard to show and hide info panels. You can click on an empty building, and the first gem in your inventory will automatically go into that tower. You can hit tab or minus to drop a gem into your inventory. So if you have a gem in a tower and you need to get it out of there, maybe because the Spectra is about to grab it up, you can quickly hit tab and it will go right to your inventory. I've already mentioned that 1 through 6 is your strike spells and gem enhancement spells. B is to throw gem bombs. And if you select a target, you can use the arrow keys to cycle through a couple of them. You can right click on a gem and drag to set the priority. You can also use shift click. You can alt click or control click to ignore gems and force select target. So if a monster is over a trap, normally if you try to click on that, you're just going to grab the gem out of the trap. Instead, if you hit alt click or control click, it selects the monster. Escape is the hotkey to open up the options menu. And you can use WASD arrow keys, dragging the mouse or the mouse wheel to navigate the world map. There's a couple more things in here that are pretty useful. Let's see here. That's the quick socketing. Here we go. Calling waves early. This is the one thing I did not mention. I already mentioned that you can hit N to call the next wave early, or you can click on the wavestone. But the one thing I did not mention is the control click to call all the waves at once. Alright, and if you destroy a gem, you get 70% of their mana value back. That talks about gem bombs, strengthening your orb here, enraging waves, target priority, which we already mentioned. You can just click on a monster to select it, or select a building, and your gems that are within the attack range of that will focus fire on that monster. Alright, here's the other one that's pretty unique. Decreasing the gem range. If you use your mouse wheel, you can change the range of any gem in any tower, lantern, or even the pylons you can change the range of. Now, if you hold Alt while you're using the mouse wheel to change the range, instead of decreasing by, I think it's 5% at a time, it will decrease by 1%. So it allows for more fine-tuning. And this one just talks about the enhancements, strike spells, the wizard stashes, talisman fragments, battle trades, skill management, and this is pretty important because every time you level up, you get 7 skill points. Just keep that in mind. So, me being at this level, you can kind of tell how many skill points I've gotten through all that. What is up, everybody? It's Juggalo Gaming. I am back. This is going to be at the end of the first episode, the first basic episode for Gemcraft Frostborn Wrath Need to Know series. There are a couple things I forgot to mention when I was doing it. First thing is, in the intermediate video, you get to a point where I show the skills and I'm going over them. I'm like, Orb of Presence here decreases banishment costs, and I said there's 2 other ways to decrease banishment costs, and I did not go over them. So we're going to go over them too. But there's also something else I need to go over. Yeah, I forgot a couple things when I originally did the series, and I was watching the first episode, and certain things are coming to mind. I'm like, oh, I did not mention that again. Okay, first things first. Since I just mentioned about the skill that decreases banishment costs, you can also decrease banishment costs by putting an amplifier by a gem and putting a gem in there, which decreases the banishment cost. As you can see right now, it's 37% banishment cost. If I put a gem in an amplifier, let's go ahead and socket it, that's now 53.1. The other way you can do it, and it's back to 37 now because I took out that gem, is you can gem bomb the orb. That will also decrease the banishment cost. So, up to a certain amount. That's the 3 ways to decrease banishment costs: skill, amplifier, or gem bomb. Next, I mentioned this and I did not go over it. Bolt, beam, and barrage. If you read the very first section, bolt is a powerful shot that ignores armors and stuns targets. Beam is a constant stream of energy that ignores armor. Bolt and beam both ignore armor. So, like the poison effect, which ignores armor, and traps that ignore armor, you also have bolt and beam to help with ignoring armor. Barrage, however, does not ignore armor. You can read that burst of long-range shells that deal splash damage on impact. However, if you got the mod, they create gem loss, and gem loss are always fun. Okay. Next thing I didn't go over. Let's go ahead here and build a pylon, a lantern, and a trap. I mentioned that within certain things, you want to put certain gems at different I'm going to put that one there for right now. Into different target priorities. So for slow, bleed, and poison, you always want them to be the least affected by gem specials. And I'll go over that here in a little bit. Mana, it really doesn't matter what you have that set to. Armor tearing, you always want to be the shielded highest armor. That way it, whichever monster has the highest armor, it's zapping that armor down. Crit, it doesn't matter. Usually you want to put that on the closest to your as far as the least affected by gem specials, I said I wanted to go over this. Let's go over this. Say you got two monsters that are right on top of each other. Right? Now, my skills are up high enough where my firing speed is like 380% faster than what normal traps are. Same with lanterns. They do shoot pretty quickly. However, I still put them on least affected. Basically, the way you want to look at this is, if you have a bunch of swarmlings and the first one hits it, the trap goes off, 2 or 3 swarmlings might pass that trap before that trap hits a second time. Same with lanterns. However, and this is the big thing, if you have it on least affected, say one hits, right? The trap goes off, and when it goes off again, if that same monster is still on there, if you had this on nearest the orb, right? The first monster hits, gets affected, right? Now it's up here as trap fires again. It's still gonna hit that one in the lead, so it's not gonna hit the other ones that are currently over the trap. Same with the lantern. So now you have monsters getting past without getting the bleed effect or the poison effect. If you have it on least affected, it will affect all the monsters that aren't affected, basically. So if one already gets hit by the trap, and that's least affected now, or that's already affected, the next time the trap goes off, if that's still not off that trap, it's not going to hit that same monster. It's going to hit the next one that's not affected, and so on and so forth. Least affected spreads out the slow effect more, the bleed effect more, and the poison effect more. That is why you want it on least affected, especially in lanterns and traps. And this goes for slow, bleed, and poison. Obviously, I kind of already mentioned why you want the purple gem on the shielded highest armor, because that is an armor carrying gem. And of course, you want to destroy the closest monster to the orb with your kill gem, which more than likely is going to be a yellow crit gem. Okay, now as far as target priorities go, pylons have the same target priorities as towers, except they don't have structure. Lanterns and traps have least affected instead of structure. So keep that in mind. And I had to put this at the end because I forgot these 3, and they're pretty major things to understand about target priority, decreasing banishment costs, and just the enchantments in general that ignore armor to help you out, which are the big ones here. Beam and Bolt. So I do appreciate your patience. Thank you for watching the first episode of Gemcraft Frostborn Wrath Need to Know Series Basic, and I will see you when you play the next video in the series, which is the intermediate video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.